I felt like we were doing a lot of the right things, but the program did open our eyes to see that we were falling short of a couple things. I don't plan to work a day after 45, and honestly, I may stop before then. I mean, we're going to be buying some new properties in the next year or so. So we're close to being millionaires in medicine. The money map you guys made us super useful because it laid out exactly how much we need to put away each month, each year in order to make that goal happen.
Well, before starting the program, tell us a little bit about how you felt about money, how you felt about budgeting, and your ability to retire on the timeline that you were hoping for.
Yeah. So we've always been people who, like, we didn't have a lot of debt before we went into the program, and we thought we were doing a lot of the right things. Like, we'd had a financial advisor, we'd taken a lot of steps we thought set us up for success. And we were kind of on the timeline of retiring at like 60, 62,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit early, but nothing too crazy. Yeah. I mean, I felt like we were doing a lot of the right things, but the program did open our eyes to see that we were falling short of a couple things.
Yeah, I mean, totally fair. It sounds like you guys started off far and away above where the average healthcare professional is, right? The fact that you were already on track to retire at 60 or 62 surpasses where most of your colleagues probably are in terms of their financial planning. So you were already in a good spot. What were some of
Yeah.
the challenges that you guys were facing that made you say, like, how can we expedite our progress? How can we take it to the next level?
I think a big thing for us is right now we're just so time poor. I mean, do we want to wait until we're in our 60s when maybe our health is declining before we take the trips and before we get to like the enjoyment kind of phase of life? And our answer was very easily no. We wanted to do more and we wanted to do more earlier. And so we kind of wanted to look at what that would mean financially for us, like how much we would have to set aside, if we would have to cut things out now, in order to have that goal met earlier. And so that was our big push.
Yeah, totally fair. And I think a lot of people have that concern of like, if I'm doing all of this to prepare for retirement and I can't enjoy it till I'm 65, I may not be able to do all the things that I want to do at that time frame. So I love that you guys had the foresight to think, okay, how can we adjust our plan to get some of that flexibility now as well?
Exactly.
So when you were in the program, what was a major like breakthrough moment that you had or a mindset shift that you had throughout the program?
I didn't realize that retiring in our 40s would be possible with small, manageable shifts for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not everybody has that ability. So we're super lucky with that. But it was literally just like such small shifts that we could make. And for it to be so attainable, like the money map you guys made us super useful because it laid out exactly how much we need to put away each month, each year in order to make that goal happen. And when I realized that that was such a tangible thing, we were sold.
Yeah. I mean, financial independence in your mid 40s sounds like an astronomical goal, right? And then to
It
say,
does.
oh, if I execute like X, Y, and Z, that could be our reality.
Mhm.
That's impressive. And I can see how that would be a big mindset shift of like, oh, maybe it's easier to attain than I had previously thought in your situation. So yeah, I really like that answer. Were there any habits or beliefs that you had to unlearn?
I still hate budgeting. Budgeting feels like such a chore for me, but I think it's important, especially I'll be fully transparent. I do not budget monthly because I don't like it, but I will go back and I'll kind of shame myself of like, oh my gosh, you bought this much like food out, like going out to dinner, buying coffees, and knowing that I'm going to be doing that and like sharing that with my husband, it does kind of reel in my spending a little bit. So that's probably the biggest one for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Budgeting is a skill that takes a lot of repetition for people to feel comfortable with it. And a lot of people are like, it's not a fun process. I'm like hyper type A individual. And so for me, like, I love the number side of it, but most people don't share that passion. So you kind of
I wish I did.
yeah, that's totally fair. You mentioned how you talk with your husband about, each of your different spending and kind of things like that at the end of the month. How have your conversations about money as a couple changed?
I would say it's changed a lot because we were having conversations that we thought we didn't realize what we didn't know before the program. And we realized, like, for instance, that we were wildly underinsured when it came to life insurance. And
Yeah.
so realizing that, it caused us to have those kind of talks of, if one of us were to pass away prematurely, like, what kind of goals would we want for our family? How would we replace that income? What would that look like? That was a really big one for us. And then we don't have kids yet, but we started having the kids talk of how we'll set our kids up financially.
Yeah.
And we've really taken those programs seriously. So in the future, when we do have kids, I think they'll be set.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you're able to start thinking about that now. That's something a lot of people don't think about until their kids are like in elementary school, which is already, that's still leaps and bounds above when college begins. But the fact that like before you even are in the child phase of life, like you're planning for that is pretty remarkable, and it'll make it a lot easier to achieve those goals as well. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you guys have been able to have some of these like 30,000-foot view conversations.
Yeah.
Most people don't take the time to discuss like what would happen if something happened to one of us, so those are hard conversations, but I love that you had the tools to really dive into that and come up with a plan and at least know what the other person would want in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, were there any specific tools or strategies from the program that you felt like helped you the most?
Honestly, I would say the money map is probably the thing that I have referred back to the most. Even with the kind of economic downturn we're having right now, we're staying the course, and it's given us a lot of peace of mind knowing that, like, mathematically, if we hit those numbers, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And so I think that money map is honestly the best thing that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most common answer, right? Like a written path from point A to point B is what most people are looking for. And I
Yeah.
love that you alluded to like, hey, that it's been huge economic downturns, but we feel confident nonetheless. And hopefully like the foundational knowledge that you gained is what gave you some of that peace of mind of, yes, everyone's panicking and the headlines are all terrifying, but we know how we're buy and hold investors, and we know that the long-term trajectory is going to be upward. And we know that if we're executing our numbers month after month, year after year, that we're going to end up where we want to be.
Yeah, honestly, it's given us so much peace of mind for the past couple months, with all the uncertainty and everything. So just that education piece alone has been like really, really nice for us.
Yeah, so you kind of alluded to my next question, which was, have you noticed any other like changes in other areas of your life? So stress levels, your relationship, your confidence, navigating financial conversations with friends or family, anything like that? Any changes that you've identified?
I've always been somebody who like hits finances head on, and it's not a taboo subject, because growing up it was never a taboo subject. But I would say now that I have more knowledge, I'm more excited to share it with people, because I also know that I'm not giving them the wrong information. And so just telling people like, hey, there's all these options for your kids to fund accounts for them, and your life insurance is probably not quite what you need, so you should probably look at that. So I think it's spurred a lot more conversations between friends and family of just what their financial health is, and wanting to share the knowledge that we've gained.
Yeah, now you get to be the gift that keeps on giving. You'll be the person that your coworkers are like, hey, can you take a look at this? What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to be able to be that sounding board for people and at least point them in the right direction. Because so many people don't know what to do in terms of term life insurance, or they think, hey, my employer offers 1 times annual income, that's probably good. And you can say, hey, no, let's talk more about that. So it's great you've been able to kind of spread the knowledge that you've gained a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what financial milestone or financial win are you all the most proud of so far?
Honestly, I think just the fact that I can tell people, like, I've had a lot of conversations lately with friends retiring and stuff, just being able to tell them that, like, I don't plan to work a day after 45. And honestly, I may stop before then. But just like, that's a really good flex.
Yes, that's a huge flex. Yes, it is.
I would say that's probably the biggest one for us. Like, I'm just so excited for what the future has in store, and that's really not that long from now. So that's probably been our biggest win so far.
Yeah, and what do you guys want retirement to look like?
I want to live in Europe.
Oh, okay, I love the start of this.
I'm thinking like a nice villa in Portugal by the beach, just temperate weather and dogs everywhere.
I love your vision. Is there room for one more?
Yes, always.
That sounds incredible. And I love that, you guys will be at an age where you can enjoy living in Europe and travel all over and handle like the mini stairs in every town ever in Europe. That will be wonderful. So, what other goals are you working towards now? I know you mentioned you're on track for financial independence at 45. What else is on the horizon?
So we're close to being millionaires in medicine. So that is a very exciting one that should be coming up soon. Other than that, I mean, we're going to be buying some new properties in the next year or so. And so that's super exciting for us looking at some multifamily properties.
Wow, that'll be wonderful. Will those be in the area that you live, or are you looking at another location for that?
So we're going to be moving. They'll be in the area that we're moving to.
Perfect. That's a great way to diversify your portfolio. So very exciting things on the horizon for you all. And then, what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe starting back at the beginning where you were like, we're in a good spot, but we want to do better? What advice would you have for somebody, or maybe somebody just starting off in their professional career who doesn't know what to do next?
I would say invest in yourself. Like when we first started the program, even looking at the price tag, I'm not going to lie and say like, oh, we jumped right in because we were like, gosh, that is quite a bit of money. And we doubted ourselves. We were like, gosh, I don't know if we should run this. Do we have enough knowledge, to be able to handle our own finances? And we trusted ourselves. We jumped into it. We fired our financial advisor, and our stuff has been doing great since. And I think investing in ourselves and trusting that we have the knowledge and the ability, and we care more than anybody else does about our finances. So I think that is probably the best thing. I mean, if you are in medicine, you're a smart person, you can figure out finances. It's really not that hard.
It's a learnable skill, right?
Yeah. And nobody's going to care as much as you do. So if you don't understand your own finances, I think that does also put you at risk for not being where you want to be and not knowing that you're not there. So I think the time and the money investment up front is super, super important. And like it literally changed our lives.
I love to hear that. And I think that is phenomenal advice. I feel like in medicine, we're so used to investing in our professional development of like, oh, I'm going to go to this conference, I'm going to learn this new procedure. But when it comes to other areas of our lives, people aren't used to investing in their own personal development, right? And that is so important, especially early on. So that's very good advice. And I hope people will heed that call because it does change your life especially when you do that right out of the gate. It can be life changing.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to just share with the group?
No, I mean, I appreciate everything you guys have done for us. And we're constantly referring back to, different lectures and stuff that you guys have posted and referring back to our money map. So the resources are still there for us. So anytime we're uncertain or we have a question, I mean, you guys are super reachable and it's been great.
Yeah, lifelong learning, right? That's what it is all about. Okay, well, those are all the interview questions that I have. Thank you again for just taking the time to do this and being so open and vulnerable. I really, really appreciate that. This makes a big difference for us. We truly appreciate it.
We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, well, keep us posted. We loved getting your email of like, hey, these are our numbers so far. This is where we're at. I would love to get an email when you guys hit that millionaire mark. We want to celebrate that win with you, and any other wins along the way or just any updates. We love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the current market downturn is not helping us.
Fair.
But it's all climbing back. Like
it will.
I've been watching the numbers and
you're buying everything on sale right now, right?
I know
So
that's
we'll take
that's
that
how I feel.
You're like, one day I'm going to be so happy about this.
Yeah. Just stay the course.
Exactly. Well, thanks again. Thanks for taking up your evening with me. And if you need anything down the road, you know how to get in touch with us. But we appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.